So just to help us, again, refresh from lunch, you may know this story. One day, a little girl got home late from running errands. Her mother was very worried and asked her, "Why were you so late? What happened?" Her daughter answered, "I met Susie on the way home. She had dropped her doll, and it broke." And her mother said, "Did you help her fix it?" The daughter answered, "No, we couldn't fix it, but I helped her cry." We couldn't fix it, but I helped her cry. It's that way in which we deal with the various pieces of our lives. I've drawn more recently on a classic poem that many of you will know, and I've broadened it. But Mary Oliver wrote years ago about curiosity, which has been one of the themes of the morning sessions, in a haunting poem called When Death Comes. When death comes like the hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me, snaps the purse shut, when death comes, on and on and on. I want to enter the door full of curiosity. All my life, I've tried to be a curious person. I want to do that with my living, dying, and bereavement. And so we're going to move now to part as we looked at the day was not only to think about how do we help all who are involved, the team, the clinical team, the families, the child, the siblings, all of them for a child who's living, but also what happens once the child dies. And we're fortunate that a parent of a child who died just 4 months ago has agreed to come and share her story. Kristy, if you'll begin to come up. Thank you for your willingness to share your story, and knowing especially that it's so close to you in terms of time. We look forward to hearing your voice.
Thank you. Thank you, Ted, for everything. I don't really think I need to be here after all you have heard already. And Lori and Jeff, oh my goodness, what has really stuck with me from your talk is Lori, you said, I am relentless in my advocating for Caden, and I'm also realistic. Really, really stuck with me. Thank you for sharing that. I feel like I could have stood up and gone, yes, 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 so many times over, but that's how I felt in my life with Lauren. Relentless and realistic. So my name is Kristy Hubbard. I am really happy to be here with you today. And guess what? You get to listen to me as you digest and fall asleep. And all right. So thanks for taking the time to be here this afternoon also. I'm here to talk about holding space for joy and sorrow, and to share with you how I am taking steps forward after losing my daughter, Lauren, very suddenly this summer. I want to start off by telling you a little bit about Lauren. 2 years after I became a mom to my oldest daughter, Abby, I was expecting our second child with what appeared to be a very normal, typical pregnancy. There were no red flags, no indication that I should expect anything other than a routine birth. However, nothing about the day Lauren was born was routine. Labor did not progress as expected, and our healthy baby became stuck in the birth canal. A series of poor decisions made by my OB resulted in Lauren being deprived of oxygen for 10 to 15 minutes before she was finally delivered via C-section. Lauren was seizing and blue when she arrived, needing resuscitation to take her first breaths. The placenta had ruptured during delivery, and any more pushing would have ruptured my uterus also. And it's a miracle that we both survived. But the trauma that Lauren suffered during birth, along with extended oxygen deprivation, caused permanent damage to her brain. Whoops, I don't want to go backwards. I grieved the loss of the life we had planned as we entered a new kind of normal. a constant fog navigating Lauren's cerebral palsy. The first several years, she never slept. We never slept. She had lots of seizures and was constantly throwing up. Everything was absolutely exhausting. We would focus on one issue, and before we could figure it out, something new would come along. We were constantly feeling defeated. Many of you in this room know these feelings. During these early years, it was very easy to become overwhelmed by and fixated on everything Lauren wasn't doing. In fact, those things sometimes defined her, especially in clinic and school settings. It was often difficult to look past her disability and to see her for the person she really was, a precious soul created by God to bless others, to give love, to receive love, and to make an impact on her world. But over time, we started to see Lauren's personality emerge and realized how outgoing and social she was. Life with Lauren got a bit easier when she mellowed out, which was about 2 years ago. Since there wasn't much in life that Lauren could control, as much as possible, she wanted to have some say over things, such as deciding that she was done with outpatient speech and occupational therapy last spring. She checked herself out. So these things were true of Lauren in life and in death. She did things her own way, on her own timetable. It was not mine. June 25th of this year was that fateful day when Lauren was taking a nap and she stopped breathing. Completely unexpectedly, our girl went to heaven 2 days later in the expert loving care of Gillette PICU doctors and nurses. So how do we keep the memory of this spunky girl alive in death as we did during her 15 and a half years of life? It is difficult for those who don't have a child with extra needs to grasp what sort of loss this is when a child with special needs passes away. We haven't just lost our daughter, we have lost a girl who's full of joy and loved others better than anyone I know. The girl who knew everyone's secrets, including some of you in this room, and never told a soul, who could not go to Target without meeting somebody who knew and loved her, and who never fought with her siblings a day in her life, is now in heaven. We have lost an entire community of medical professionals, physicians, nurses, therapists. These were people we spent time with on a weekly basis. It took an entire city to raise our girl. Our revolving door at home is closed most of the time. Lauren's loving, caring PCAs no longer have a reason to walk into our home several times a day. Our special needs community, the teachers and paras at her high school, Lauren's bus drivers, time spent at Crescent Cove, all gone with Lauren from one day to the next. Back to the question of how we keep Lauren's memory alive, how we grieve, and yet remember with joy the strengths and capacities of our sweet girl who is sweet and sassy girl who has passed away and is with Jesus. That's where the joy and the sorrow and the in-between come into play. Lori shared about living, all the while accommodating Caden's needs. We did this too. And since Lauren's passing, I am just realizing how much my life did have to revolve around her and how much my identity was wrapped up in having a child with special needs. But I made sure to have lots going on in my life outside of and in addition to being a special needs mom. All right. On that note, everybody stand up. You're falling asleep, I can tell. To prove to you that I have other things going on in my life, I'm a high school French teacher. So I need to be sure you're all tracking with me and you're all still awake. So don't worry, this will only take 15 seconds and then you can sit back down. Hold out your right hand with your palm up. Excellent. Let's say this hand is full of joy. Now, hold up your left. Keep your right up. Keep your right hand up. I just can't do that. Hold up your left hand too, palm up. Let's say that hand is full of sorrow. What is it that's in between these two hands? What is it? You. It's you. It's me. It's all of us. You are between the joy and the sorrow. Your body represents the in-between because it's the space in between your left and your right hands. You can sit down now. I am only 4 months into the journey of what life without Lauren looks like. I have a lot to learn. But one thing I do know is that I can hold space for the sorrow and the joy at the same time. Just like both of my hands are connected to my one body and both help me get through a day, so are my joy and my sorrow. They both make up what it means to be me right now, and both have a part to play in helping me make it through a day. And I would say that is true now, and it was also true when Lauren was alive. And it is also true for all of you in all of the situations that you find yourself in life. Joy and sorrow need to coexist, both and, not either or. Sometimes the in-between is where the two coexist the best. Hold space for the heavy and the hard, as well as the beautiful. An old adage says that the direction in which you look will determine what you can see. I can tell you already, some days I have to look hard for joy because the sorrow seems to be more present and overwhelming. I have a choice to make when I feel overwhelmed, but it's not a choice to choose joy instead of sorrow. It's a choice to accept them both. I live in the in-between. We all live in the in-between. Trying to force an either-or choice would do more harm than good. It's both and, both joy and sorrow. This is a decision I can make to hold them both. Let me give you a real-life example. The physical relief we have experienced since Lauren's death has been huge. She required 24/7 care and could not accomplish any daily tasks on her own. We don't have any more diaper changes now. Our garbage can is this full instead of being this full. No more lifting in and out of her wheelchair and stroller or hoisting her into her shower chair. Getting in and out of our accessible van is like that. We even drove 10 hours straight to Arkansas to visit one of our adult children and went hiking in the Ozarks a couple weeks ago. All of that is joy, with some healthy doses of mom guilt mixed in, even though I'm not there to mother Lauren anymore. And yet there's also sorrow. Sadness that I no longer get to care for Lauren. Grief because it's so much more fun having her around. I would do 1,000 more diaper changes and 5,000 more lifts into her chair to have her with us here on earth. Grief as I watch her younger brother, Titus, who was referred to earlier, roam around the house, unsure of how to navigate his new normal without his ever-present sidekick. And there's the in-between. That's what most of my days are like, when I miss my girl like crazy and really don't miss lifting her off of the floor one more time. When I have the thought of physical burdens being lifted while not quite knowing how to live my new life without Lauren. Joy and grief are mixed together, and that's what makes a life this side of heaven, our lives. So what does this look like moving forward? How can Lauren's impact remain even when she is not physically present? Like I said before, I'm only a few months into this and I have a lot to learn. One thing I do know is that I want to take the key lessons that Lauren taught me and put those into practice in my life. This is actually part of the joy I find in living forward. I can choose to remember and practice the things Lauren taught me when she was alive on earth. I truly believe God gave Lauren a special gift. She was born a teacher. How? You say, how could somebody who had brain damage at birth and never learned the basic things we take for granted be a teacher? She could not talk. She could not speak. For you to better understand the lessons Lauren taught me that I can carry forward, I want to show you some photos. First of all, one of the big lessons Lauren taught me was how to walk through big changes. Lauren had many transitions in her short life. Her dad, Dan, was diagnosed with colon cancer when Lauren was 9 years old and passed away just after her 11th birthday. The anniversary of this is this Sunday, November 12th. Lauren and her pa had such a close bond, and grief was so hard for her, as she could not verbalize her thoughts. In 2019, Lauren's family size practically doubled. And by the way, I always told God I couldn't handle more than 3 children. What in the world? And she welcomed 4 new siblings and an amazing stepdad into her life. Another transition that she embraced with unconditional love and grace. She loved her step-siblings from the moment they stepped into her life. And her stepdad, she adored him and him her. Lauren embraced both of these major transitions with a big heart. She probably didn't regulate the tension of joy and sorrow like I'm advising all of us to do. And for those of you who knew her, you know what I'm saying. She was usually one or the other to the max. However, she always loved people with a simplicity that won them over immediately, no matter what. I want to love people like Lauren did. Lauren did not have to take a class to learn how to be patient. She just was. I always told her she was the most patient person I knew. I would say, okay, Lauren, let's head out the door. And then proceed to do 50 more things before we finally got out of the house. She just sat there in her stroller, patiently waiting, giving me the best smile when we finally headed out the door. I want to be patient, like Lauren, especially towards my kids. This is a Lauren lesson I can carry with me as I move forward. Lauren never registered for EDU 458, How to Be a Better Listener. She just was. Lauren was the first person who knew when her teachers were expecting a baby, when her PCAs were about to get engaged, or when someone was about to throw a surprise party. There was no better secret keeper than Lauren. She was the best listener, and many of us felt lighter after we shared our stories and our secrets with Lauren. I hope to be this kind of person. I want to have a listening ear towards others without feeling the urge to share my story with them. Letting others talk and be heard and seen is what Lauren did the best. Lauren this is Titus that I was talking about before. Lauren was such a teacher of kindness, no matter the person. She and Titus were as close as you can imagine, but still having a younger brother, you're not always wanting to be kind to your little annoying brother. There were many people in Lauren's life who were unkind to her, and I think she knew it. Titus was not unkind to her. A huge example of this is her relationship with her stepbrother, Joe. He came into her life at the age of 11, and he was just 1 month younger than Lauren. She did not let him forget that. He would mostly ignore her and not know how to interact with her, and yet she would keep smiling at him and not break eye contact until he acknowledged her. She showed so much undeserved kindness to Joe. I want to be kind to those around me, just like Lauren. One tangible way we have done this in the past 2 months is giving, I'll move forward a little bit here, is giving her beloved stroller that she practically lived in to another boy who is now blessed by it. Her empty stroller got a new life. Lauren would totally have wanted this. Lauren taught me how to love unconditionally. I am terrible at it. Lauren could do no different. She is one of the few humans I know, and you know what? The other humans I'm thinking of also all have special needs, who was incapable of hatred. Lauren did not have a malicious bone in her body. Her heart was big and open, ready to invite anyone in to her sphere. I want to love unconditionally like Lauren, and she will always be one of the biggest human examples of this to me. Finally, Lauren taught me joy. There's the Lauren side eye. Seems to be a common theme around here. Happiness is circumstantial, and her circumstances were less than ideal, so her joy was supernatural. Joy in the mundane, like going to bed every night at 7 p.m. on the dot, or hearing a familiar song at church. Joy in planning parties. Joy in being at the dinner table with family. Joy in driving home, especially when I missed the turn onto our street on purpose. That girl found joy in everything. The joy that Lauren had helps me hold in tension the joy and sorrow I now experience with her loss. I could go on and on. I won't. The day Lauren was born, I thought my life as I knew it was over. As I looked forward, my future looked hopeless, dark, and foreboding. As I look back, our lives with Lauren were rich and full and messy and exhausting and oh so beautiful. She lived a full life. I would not change the events of October 15th, 2007, the day of her birth, for the world. Lauren mattered. Lauren had weight in this world. She has left a crater of a hole in so many of our lives. I have lost a daughter, a friend, my only child who loved me no matter what, and saw the best in everybody. We won't ever be the same without our Lauren, but it would be selfish for me to want her back when she is enjoying the presence of Jesus. Psalm 112, 6 through 8 are verses in the Bible that carried me through the 15 years I had with Lauren, and that continue to help me carry the tension and the joy right now. In fact, these are the verses that are written on her tombstone. The righteous will never be shaken. She will be remembered forever. She will have no fear of bad news. Her heart is steadfast, trusting in the Lord. Her heart is secure. She will have no fear. That was Lauren. These verses helped me to hold on to joy when the sorrow is the heaviest. I did not have to be afraid of bad news. I knew we had Lauren in our lives for a reason, and that God gave her to us and to this world just as she was. When kids like Lauren pass into eternity, their impact continues to influence this world. It's been said that there are some who bring a light so great to the world that even after they are gone, the light remains. This saying is so true of our girl. Lauren's life touched so many people all over the globe. Even though she's no longer physically present, she still lives on, and so does her influence. We will continue speaking of Lauren in the same way we did as when she was alive. We will talk about her sense of humor, her love for the same old jokes, her keen sense of direction, her tender heart when people were sad. We just won't be talking to her about those things, and that's where the hole is. One last thing I will tell you. This is not the end. I will see Lauren again in heaven. This is the in-between where I can keep talking about her and celebrating her life and reminiscing about the 15 years God gave her with us and continuing to walk the journey of joy and sorrow. Thank you.